He looked like he was in his late 60s. But as I traveled around with him, I met one yogi who was very old. And he spoke English. He told me that as far as he's known Kailash Baba for like 50 years. And he said he was as old as you see him even then. He said, as far as I'm concerned, he's a couple 100 years old. And he said, back then I saw Kailash Baba perform supernatural powers. He was doing all kinds of miracles. He has cities. And people started worshiping him and honoring him because of what he could do. And Kailash Baba took a vow. I will never ever demonstrate these powers. This man said people were willing to throw money on him. He could have opened temples, ashrams, everything. But Kailash Baba chose to just remain completely unknown, homeless, wandering through the jungles. Kailash Baba taught me how to live in the forest, how to eat. These are kind of details that sometimes we have to address in our lives. If you have no money and you're living in a jungle, how do you eat? He taught me which roots and which herbs you can eat, which were medicinal, which were poisonous. He taught me how to find little things from trees that you just see every day, but you don't know. They're actually food. He taught me how to beg. Because when we would come to little villages or little holy towns, he would sometimes beg. And people give you the cheapest food when you beg, usually chipped rice, poa. But he taught me that contrary to the West, where a beggar is seen as like a parasite, when holy people beg, it is one of the most esteemed, exalted positions, that you've given up everything in pursuit of truth. And you don't go to beg from people to get food. You go there in the role of a beggar to beg them to receive God's blessings. Through associating with a yogi, they will be blessed. By giving to a servant of God, they will be blessed. He taught me that begging was something that we could feel very deep enrichment. But he taught me something else that was probably his best lesson: how to live in harmony with our neighbors. Because we would just sleep on the ground, under trees, in caves, on riverbanks. And there were all sorts of snakes, vipers, cobras. There were leopards and panthers and wild elephants and wild boars. And mosquitoes and monkeys. He taught me that if you think that you are superior to these animals, or if you have the slightest fear of them, they will kill you. And you have no defense against them. He taught that we must see how we are all related. Not judge living beings by the type of body they have, but to see what we have in common. The Atma is the living force that gives consciousness and life to all beings. And that Atma is a part of God, who later I learned to call Krishna. Aham bija pratapita. That one supreme absolute truth is the father and mother of all living beings. There's a verse in the Gita that I later learned. Vidyavanaya sampane brahmani kavihastini suni chaiva swapake cha pandita samadarsha. What is the definition in the Gita of wisdom? It's the ability to see every living being with equal vision. Whether one is of one religion or another, of one species or another, of one race, of one sex, wherever there's life, life is sacred. Wherever there's life, there's a child of God. And if we understand our own relationship with God, we will understand our internal, eternal relationship with every living being. And there will be no fear. Honor and respect all these animals and reptiles and insects as God's children. And have no fear of them. Have faith in God. And they will never harm you, He promised. But if you fear, or if you think being a human you are superior, you're on their property. They will kill you. Now, sometimes when you learn things in school, you have some time to study before the test. But it wasn't like that. He was telling me, and all these different kinds of animal and insect and reptile people were all around. But something very wonderful was there. Because Kailash Baba actually had no fear, and because I could see how he honored, respect, and loved every one of these creatures, he was in that state he was talking about. And just by being near him, I could also, in my own way, see them as my brothers and sisters, to honor them and to have no fear. That's the power of being with saintly people. Not only do they give us wisdom, but in their association, they actually give us the realization to live by that wisdom.